Welcome to the KM139 Bay. Chicken coops and beehives for the future. This is episode 139 of our beekeeping show.
We are Gary
and Margaret.
We are KM139, and KM139 are beekeepers from the hills of the Waitaki Ranges on the wild west coast of Auckland in the North Island of New Zealand.
Yes, we build and sell beekeeping equipment and bees, provide beekeeper services and education.
This week we learn about a new project involving sustainable schools, and we learn how to requeen a hot hive in 10 easy steps.
We also have our KM139 Roving Reporters calling in from Poland and the United States of America.
That's right, and the show notes for this show are kiwi.bz/139. Who helped us bring this show to you? This show is made possible by our amazing supporters. Every show we read out our top supporters, and on the first show of each month we read out all the supporters. Thanks to you all. This show would like to thank Nathan Buzzing Beekeeping,
Trish Stretton, Lisa Morrissey, Christopher Brown, Greg Parr and Barbara Weber.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks, guys. It's awesome. Yes, and we just like to say that we are thinking of you, Greg, and have a strong recovery and be well.
Yes, get well soon, Greg. Okay, and we have some supporters that have reached the reward level this month, and the following supporters have reached the reward level where they get a free gift from us. Please check your email, guys, and tell us what your gift you want. The people that have reached it this month are Chris Palgrave from 3 Hares Honey in Hampshire,
and Daniel and Christy Bokros from Red Dog Ranch in Ohio.
And also Finn's Bees from Canterbury. Thanks, guys, for all your support.
Yeah, awesome.
And shout out to new supporters this month. We've got David from Buzzed Honeys, and they do humane bee relocation in Los Angeles. Thanks for your support, David and family.
What's coming up next, Gary?
What does it mean to be an organic or natural beekeeper, Margaret?
Does it mean we can play the piccolo? What's that?
That's like a classical music. Yeah, we only play guitars in this family.
Okay. Okay, well, because of the generalisation of treatment methods approved by authorities, those are the ones which are promoted across the board and around the world in the beekeeping community. A lot of the work we have been doing has caused quite a discussion amongst older beekeepers who have questioned some of our actions. We are often getting comments about what we're doing, but we keep persevering. And let's be fair, it's good to question new methods and look at new ideas, but it's important that we, as a community, don't alienate others with our own judgment without understanding or being open to the discussion in the first place. What do you reckon, Gary?
Well, I mean, you're saying we're using new treatments. I mean, the things that we've been doing for the last 10 years. I wouldn't call that new, would you?
I think it is in the understanding of what's going on in the world. We've been doing podcasts not for 5 years.
No, but we've been beekeeping for longer than...
I know, but the ideas that are being presented have been classed as new.
Oh, okay.
So, I think that it's a harsh judgment that people make comments and perhaps a bit derogatory without actually knowing what is the motivation behind it. And I think not being at least open to a discussion is just being ignorant in my view. And I think it's fair to say that because of the shifting threat of Varroa and how it has affected bees over the last few years, I don't think the authorities themselves are doing enough testing.
Well, a lot of commercial beekeepers are discovering that the conventional treatments are no longer working effectively, aren't they? So they're seeking out new methods as well, aren't they? So that's kind of why we started this a long time ago. Yeah,
and I think that with us, both you and I have had to test our products in the field, and with testing it takes time. That's because we have to know how it works and why we need to use it or whatever, because there's no point recommending something that's not been tested less than a bee season. I mean, a lot of this stuff has been used over the years and proven to be a problem. But anyway, the point is that we want to share what works, so that's why we do what we do. And it's fair to say that we do our work to help hobbyist beekeepers with smaller apiaries And we do try to encourage commercial beekeepers to consider different approaches so as to help the honeybee for the long term, not the quick buck.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you've got to think of the long-term benefits and the effect on the honeybee, and you can't just do like a quick idea. And I think the other thing that a lot of people are doing lately, they're trying to use experiments from overseas, like glycerine and herbal tea, and he's kind of doing all these experiments they're throwing in hives. And I'm thinking, do they test these properly? I mean, are these legal things? And I don't know.
Yeah, it's a good question. And I remember when we first started doing our beekeeping, there was people doing essential oil cloths, and then they started doing fogging. And over time, we begin to understand what those kind of treatments require and often what they cause. So we found that essential oils through a fogger made the hive really oily and sticky, and the bees couldn't cope with it, and most of the hives just failed.
Yeah, I've never met anyone that's had success with fogging.
No, not for the long term, eh?
And even people that have done like a lot of it, like on all their hives,
Yeah, it's just not working in our view anyway. That's been our experience, folks.
That's our experience. But if you've had some success with fogging essential oils, give us a yell.
And you've done it for more than 2 or 3 seasons, give us a call.
And on the last show, we discussed the weather's changing, isn't it? And the season's changing. So how are you finding it so far?
Yeah, Gary, you're on to it. We always talk about the weather.
Well, it's very important.
I remember a guy saying that he never worried about the weather before he was a beekeeper, but since he became a beekeeper, always.
Yeah, and also what's flowering at the moment.
Absolutely. Well, we've been having ongoing warm weather and with very occasional showers and still around foraging temperature even at nights now, eh?
Because even at night when we turn the outside light on, the bees come and attack the light.
Yeah, because they're still... About? I don't know exactly why, but they attracted to it for some reason.
But the temperatures are getting colder. The other day I even put a jacket on.
Yeah, guys, and I actually wore socks and shoes into the apiary. There you go. No jandals that day.
So how have the bees been behaving then?
Well, lots of pollen still being collected, and with the odd rain, we see some reflowering going on. A few plants, like the cabbage trees, are coming to flower again, so that's really awesome.
Oh, that's cool.
And we just had the ginger flowering for about a week and a half, and now it's all sort of dying off.
Yeah, that smells beautiful, eh?
It does smell good, but it is considered a pest weed. But there's a small nectar flow on for us at the moment.
And how about the beekeeper? How's she been going?
Tired. Tired and hot.
Yes.
Keeping up my fluids. Anyway, amazingly, managing space is still required at the moment because of this ongoing foraging and a small nectar flow. We've had to keep an eye on them, and they have been capping honey, so they may need some frames for some of you guys out there, so keep an eye on that.
Yeah, are they still producing wax bucks? Remember you were doing an experiment last time, you put some empty frames in there. Do they draw them out?
They have started to draw them, which is quite interesting for this time of the year. But also they are doing the capping, a lot of capping. So with the capping and a small amount of drawing wax, they've still got enough coming into the hive to make that happen. So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think it's going to be run a bit longer, eh?
Yep, absolutely.
So what have you been working on then lately?
I've just been observing the entrances and I was just getting ready to do treatments, and I saw there was this little cluster underneath the landing board of one of the hives. Now this is one of the newer colonies which I still haven't got a robbing screen on. So what I did was I got my hand, I was wearing my gloves, and I scooped up this little group of bees, and as they started to separate, guess what was in the middle?
A little bar of gold.
I wish it was. I would have been very happy about that. But it was actually a wasp, and they had engulfed this wasp.
So they're heating it up.
Yeah, I think that, and the wasp looked terrible, which was good.
That's good.
Yeah. But it looked really like it was getting the treatment, and it was pretty dead. So that was really amazing. And then two of the bees actually both started flying away with it, and off they went into the distance to dispose of the evidence.
Good feisty little bees.
Yeah, awesome. They're the Carniolan mix new colonies that we've got.
Oh, I think all the bees in New Zealand are Carniolan mix now,
Yeah,
aren't
there's
they?
a bit of that going on, that's for sure. Anyway, watching
Behaviour?
Yeah, with watching what's going on in front of the hives, we can see that it's telling us that there could be fighting, there could be wasps trying to get in, and observation teaches us about bee behaviour. So I encourage all my students to take time to watch the front of their hives. And the other thing is, it's awesome and fascinating, wouldn't you say?
Yes, even because you've even got a chair out there and you look at them, don't you?
Yeah, I like to go and watch what they're doing and see what they're up to. And yeah, there is some of the wasps are trying to get into the other hives with robbing screens, but they're not having any luck. And those that get behind get killed.
You know that picture I took of you sitting on the chair watching the bees years ago?
Yeah.
It suddenly reappeared on Instagram. Somebody had posted it as their photo. I said, that's our photo.
Cheeky blighters. Just get in touch, guys, if you want to use any of our work. Give us a bit of credit because we do work hard for what we do. Anyway, moving along, that could lead to a tangent, but I won't go there. I won't.
No.
So this time of the year, adding robbing screens if you have got them, if you've had them raised up so that the bees can get underneath. I think bring them down now. I brought down most of the screens now so that the entrances are a lot more closed. There's only one way to get in. And it takes them a few days to get used to that again, but then at the end of autumn I probably will rotate them around, but if we suddenly have a drop in temperatures I might do a bit sooner. Adding robbing screens now means that the colonies can still start to propolise them and make them centre of the hive before the temperatures get colder.
You did an article the other day about wintering down, which is good.
Oh yes, and I also did another blog about 20th century beekeeping versus 21st century beekeeping. And so that was kind of where my thoughts were going over the last couple of weeks about how when we first started, what people told us and advice they gave and to what we're actually doing today. And I've seen a real shift in how people are managing their hives. There's some people who continue to do the same and get the same results. So, you know, the article's more about trying to shift thinking.
Good luck with that. Yep.
Yeah,
That's
cheers,
awesome.
Gary. That's bananas.
Banana!
Oh, okay, well, banana and moving along.
So what are we doing to get the bees ready for winter?
I think we've still got a bit of time because we're just in the first month of autumn really, and I think probably this time of the year wasps are building really strongly, so I expect that there'll be more of an issue. But apart from that, as it's early autumn, we don't want to rush wintering down, purely for the fact that the temperatures haven't even dropped below foraging temperatures here. So wintering down would be all about reducing space which is unnecessary and that the bees won't use, basically, very simply put.
Yes, indeed. And you touched before about bee behaviour, that they're still producing wax,
Yeah, there's a bit of wax production, and I just following on from the wintering down thing, if we condense too quickly, we may cause a lack of space, so you don't want that. And so at the moment, it's a bit of a delicate balance. So if there's not enough space and they're still doing lots of work, if there's no room and they get honeybound, there is still a risk of absconding. So we don't want that. So yeah, as I said, it's a delicate balance at this time for us Kiwi beaks. In fact, in some areas, they're just still awesomely warm out there, and they are adding new boxes and frames. So that's really fascinating, eh?
Which areas have you heard that people are doing that?
Yeah, over on the shore, around there is where one of the beginners are, and yeah, 5 boxes high. It's pretty amazing. And that's only one of the newer colonies that we sold. So it's all bloomin' gorgeous, isn't it? Okay, well, for us running our colonies organically or naturally, as it were, it's meant that our colonies are stronger than ever, and we truly have found oxalic acid vaporization treatment, Varroa treatment method is really contributing to our success in keeping our colonies healthy and alive. And I really believe this, that healthy bees can cope better with threats.
Oh, absolutely. They get less viruses too, eh? Absolutely.
Yeah, I reckon you're right. And what do you see when you look at the hives out in the apiary, Gary?
Well, they seem very busy. I haven't opened any yet, but they're very busy. So, yeah, looks good.
Yeah, it's awesome. I find it so relaxing. And this year I have been more relaxed about things, which has been awesome, and less panicky. So it's been good. And being that our mission is to save bees one hive at a time, and by helping you to keep your honeybees alive, we hopefully get the commercial beekeepers on board to look at their beekeeping practices. And it's fair to say that we are seeing some smaller operations taking on some changes. So we do have high hopes for our Kiwi honeybees.
Yes, indeed. And I just interviewed John Barry recently, and that talks about a lot of that sort of stuff. So we'll look out for that interview.
Okay.
Well, it's autumn here still. It's getting colder. But what's happening around the world? Now we hear from our overseas folks, and let's hear from our Kiwi Mana Roving Reporters. This week we hear from Poland and the United States of America. First up, let's go to North Carolina and we hear from Avery.
Hello Kiwi Mana. Avery here reporting from Rascal's Apiary and Wild Dragon Honey Farm in northeastern North Carolina. It's still a little cold over here, though it is definitely warming up. A few days ago, the bees were going crazy since it was in the 60s, or 15 degrees Celsius. The bees are getting very defensive now that the nectar flow will be starting soon. I now understand what people mean when they say the bees smell like bananas when they are mad, since I had an unlucky encounter with them the other day. Since it's winter and we cannot do much with the bees, my family and I went to a queen rearing course in North Carolina called Born and Bred. We plan to start producing queens this year, and there is no better way to start that process than to learn about it. Let's hope everything goes according to plan, though it rarely ever does. Only time will tell. Also, if you know any teenage beekeepers, please let me know. And as always, good luck to all of you.
Thanks, Avery. That's awesome. A queen breeding course. That sounds really good, eh?
Yeah, it does, and there's quite a process involved with that, so that'll be really interesting to hear about how that goes for you, Avery. And, love that name, Wild Dragon Honeybee Farm.
And it's interesting to hear that your bees are going
banana,
isn't it?
That's it. And, yes, it means 15 degrees. That's over foraging here, so they'll be going out.
Yeah, that smell, it must mean the alarm pheromone, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. So there must have been a bit of a threat to the hive. I squashed a bee on my knee the other day when I was working, and the bees were a bit, antsy.
So it wasn't the bee's knees?
It was my bee's knees. It's my queen bee's knees. Anyway, squashed it, and the sting actually reached my skin through 3 layers of mesh and a pair of leggings.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was...
You sure it wasn't a wasp's thing, because they got longer stingers?
Oh, it could be, eh?
Yeah, it could be.
Because it was very painful too.
Oh, did you find the sting afterwards?
No sting.
Oh, maybe it was a wasp.
Oh, it could be, eh?
I stood on a paper wasp the other day, and that hurt.
Yeah, pretty painful. And anyway...
Yeah, if you're out there and you're a teenage beekeeper, get in touch with Avery, and her details will be on their website, which is kiwi.bz/139, and she's got an Instagram account there, so drop her a message.
Yeah, that would be great, contacting someone, in that same age group and talk about what you're up to.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Now we're hearing from across the Atlantic from Veronica from Poland, and she's got an interesting story about how things get connected. Here we go.
Hello, Kiwi Mana! Veronica from Mudvashaka, Poland is in here. I've got awesome news for you, Margaret and Gary. Your show. is listened really around the globe. You are indeed doing a very good job sharing international beekeeping experiences in a one spot where everyone finds what they need. Just recently, I got the message from Łukasz from Poznań, who found our Polish Miód Wasiaka site thanks to you by listening to your Kiwi Mana podcast from New Zealand. How amazing is that? It still makes me smile. It's awesome. And right, it's time for our beekeeping report from Poland. And for those who missed the last show, our apiaries are located in Greater Poland, which is central western part, close to Poznań city. And winter in Poland lasts for a pretty long time. Our final inspections are usually in September, and first inspections of new season occur sometimes in March, but everything really depends on the weather, which is never predictable. At the moment, it is all around 0 Celsius degrees. Last weekend, though, the temperature reached almost 15 Celsius degree, and our ladies had their first winter cleansing flight day.
Wow.
They were really calm and just wonderful to sit with. The amount of bee poo which landed on me and my dad was hilarious, but honestly, no one really cares. We were so happy seeing them out. Oh, just one of the hives' behavior was rather unfriendly, and our first thought was, well, they are queenless. So decided quickly open the hive and check the frames, and luckily they were pretty nice covered with the brood. So, although we don't want to interrupt them because of the weather, which might be still pretty frosty, especially overnight, we need to keep an eye on our ladies, observing, checking their activities, and be sure that especially they have food. This is pretty much for now. Take care, all of you. Keep warm, and you in New Zealand and Australia and all over there, you better keep chilled as it's really hot. And really looking forward to spring. Have a lovely day, and we'll see you next time. Miód Wasiaka family apiary from Krobia, Poland.
Cheers, Veronica. That was fantastic. And they're fourth-generation beekeepers, and great for her to help us.
Yes, and it's a cool story about Wakash finding Veronica, eh?
Absolutely, and you know, we are all connected, and it's quite interesting that this is discussed today after what's been going on here in New Zealand at the moment. A very sad event took place.
Yes, there's been a terrible thing happening in Christchurch. We'll talk about that a bit later on.
Yeah, we don't want to go into that too much, but moving along, Gary.
No, it's good. Well, it's good to hear the broods starting up there, and March is here, and so hopefully we'll be starting to do some inspections soon.
Yeah, and we talk about requeening a grumpy hive, and also some comments about why bees sometimes get grumpy.
Absolutely, but probably because they haven't had a bee poo for a long time.
They're all clogged up. And, you know, Avery and Veronica and all our other roving reporters, you make this possible. So we thank you for contributing to the work we do as well. So awesome.
Do you want to be a roving reporter?
Yes, you do.
It would be awesome if you could help create the buzz by being part of the show, reporting in from your location while in the field. If so, could you record a quick update, 1 to 2 minutes of your local weather conditions and what people should be doing with your bees in your area, and email that to gary@kiwimana.co.nz, or there's a link there to the speak pipe on the show notes page.
Awesome, and we look forward to hearing from new folks as well, and those of you who didn't have time to do a report, we look forward to hearing from you next time. Cheers, guys.
Beekeeping news you can use.
With lots of views.
Yes.
And bee poos.
Well, we hope not. And a fair story, chicken coops, beehives, medicinal plants, future for sustainable schools.
Yes, this is a great project funded by Countdown Supermarkets, and it has been a great success in getting kids involved in sustainability projects involving bees, chickens and growing foods.
Fantastic. And quoting from the article, it's saying Kiwi kids are leading the way to sustainability with plans for chicken coops, beehives, Māori medicinal herbs and veggie gardens in schools around the country. 30 schools across New Zealand have been awarded a share of $25,000 to help kickstart their planet-friendly projects thanks to Countdown Supermarkets. Awesome, eh?
Yeah, I think it's a great project. Connecting children with the earth and soil and nature is just awesome idea. And what sort of things did you take out of this article, Dale?
Well, it's great that Countdown are doing that, and they're calling it the Growing for Good program. So that's awesome. That's what the project name is. And the plans are going to include chicken coops, installation of beehives, and plans to use beeswax to make reusable lunch wraps.
Yes, and reading further in the article, it says it's fantastic to see our young tamariki and their schools so passionately engaged with weaving, environmentalism, and sustainability into everyday learning. That was from Kiri Hannafin, Countdown's General Manager of Corporate Affairs and Sustainability.
Great work, Kerry. That's awesome.
Absolutely, and I think that we'll hear more about these kind of things. I really believe this.
You've got to get kids young, eh? And, you know, we spoke to someone the other day, about if the kids grow the vegetables, they usually eat them.
That's
which
it.
Normally they don't. So it's an awesome idea, and I wish you all the best success with it.
Absolutely. And what feedback did we get with this one, Gary?
Yes, well, Na Vandy said, what a beautiful, positive story.
Yes, awesome. And Terry Everett said, I grew up in a school and my job was to look after the chooks at weekends. Fantastic.
Awesome, and Kalina Egan says, yes, love it.
Yes, I love it too, Kalina. And Kirsty Forsyth says, yay, we need more of this. I'm all for being self-sufficient.
Absolutely, we do need more positive stories, and this is a great one. So I'm sure the kids are going to enjoy doing this.
Yeah, thanks, Nye, Terry, Kalina, and Kirsty for feedback. So that's wonderful.
This next article might be useful to those kids in next season, eh? Requeening a hot hive in 10 steps.
Yes, but the interesting thing is that requeening a hot hive in this article takes 10 steps, but I'll be interested to see if that's the case. Anyway, a popular post this week from Jennifer Sartell from Iron Oak Farm is all about how to replace the queen in an aggressive hive. Some common sense tips on how to do it.
And quoting from Jennifer's article, it's amazing the way a beehive can have a personality. Oh, amen. While the colony is made up of thousands of individual bees, it is the overall collective demeanour of the group that makes it as if you're working with a single organism. That's right.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do believe that different hives have different personalities.
Yes, absolutely. And you can definitely change the personality by requeening it, eh?
Well, I haven't really requeened any. When I had an aggressive hive, I just inspected it more and just kept doing my same approach every time.
Did you go and talk to them?
Talk to them.
Counselling.
Say, look, we don't want to cause a death in the family.
At night you feed them some chamomile tea.
Anyway, let's get back to the things that you picked up from this article, Gary.
Well, most wild bees in the USA are also carrying some degrees of Africanized genetics due to its widespread breeding, which isn't a problem we have to deal with, but you guys in America do.
Yeah, so that is where this article was derived from America.
Yes, and it says here it takes 1,000 bee stings to kill a human, so wear a bee suit and veil.
Yeah, and if they're a bit Africanized, they can be a bit aggressive.
1,000 bee stings. I think I'd be.
Ouch.
I think I'd be giving up for the day if I got that many.
Yeah, I'd go home and have a cup of tea, chamomile tea.
I think my limit's about 20.
It's a good idea to move problematic hives away from your other hives and away from your neighbours while you undergo this process, apparently.
Well, yeah, because you don't want to upset the neighbours and make them complain to the council, do you?
Absolutely not. Good 10-step plan to replace your queen.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah.
I think it's a good one. And what's your comment here?
The one thing that they talk about the queen in this article, but I'm presuming that the queen that they talk about, which is added to the hive, is already mated.
Yeah.
So therefore that can determine the genetics from whence it comes. So that's helpful. And I'm always resistant to killing queens. I reckon there always needs to be a reason for why they are grumpy, and in this instance it's because of the genetics that are being brought into the mix when the queens go off for mating. The other thing that I thought about that might be happening is that they might already be requeening themselves. Sometimes when they have no queen they can get a little grumpy.
Yeah, that's true, but if they requeen from a grumpy queen, they're going to get another grumpy queen, aren't they?
Yeah, but is it because the queen's grumpy, or is it just because the colony's like more on alert because they have no queen, so they have to be, more alert?
They are more grumpy when they've got no queen. I've seen that. Another thing you can look for is the environment. Have they got wind blowing in the hive? Have they got like possums or raccoons or something attacking the hive at night?
Yeah, they can get aggressive if there is a threat there. And the worst case scenario would be that the queen packs up and they leave. I've also found that with grumpy bees, they are often thirsty. So perhaps when a hive has been in very cold temperatures and has been locked up for a long time, they may need some water.
Yes, or hot chocolate.
Yeah, I think that might be the one with a bit of sugar. Oh, no, bit of
what?
Bit of honey. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So extreme heat can cause grumpy bees as well. And to give them some water, you could fine mist spray the front of the hive, which is what we've been doing this season because it has been scorchio. And if you're doing inspection and it's warm weather, you could use a damp towel. That helps calm them down, and have maybe extra hive mats just to keep the bees covered so they aren't in the heat of the sun. So those are my other thoughts on that one. But it was a good article and promoted some good, thinking.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But just to be serious, guys, don't really give them hot chocolate because I got told off today on a Facebook group for being silly. So we've got to be serious now. Don't really give them hot chocolate.
I don't know what to say. I mean, let's have a bit of fun out there, guys.
Some people take me too seriously.
Yes, but you're a fountain of knowledge, Dale. Or should I say a cup of coffee or some cup of hot chocolate of knowledge. Okay, Gary.
Let's move along.
Wiki West.
We got some feedback from you. And we got a review from Apple Podcasts. God, I haven't got one of those for ages, have we?
Hokey dokey mokey. And who's this from?
It's from Frank G in WA, which I think is Western Australia. And he says, awesome podcast. Margaret and Gary's passion and knowledge for beekeeping makes for a very enjoyable podcast. Their mix of humour, bee news, great interviews, and the odd tangent, that's for you, Margaret, will have you hooked in no time. Oh, thanks, Frank. That's awesome.
Yeah, 5 stars. Well, that's fantastic. And, cheers for taking time to, let us know your feedback, Frank. We always like to let people know how much we appreciate it. And, with this kind of feedback, it just keeps us so motivated. So, awesome.
Absolutely. And we also heard from Gold Fern Honey in Christchurch in New Zealand, and they said, really enjoy your podcast.
Oh, that's
thanks, guys.
Great. Yeah. Cheers for that. And thanks again for taking time. So we appreciate that.
And check them out at Instagram.com, Gold Fern Honey. And they had this awesome photo of all these bees like flying in front of the hive. That's why I commented about it, and they got back to me about the podcast.
Wow,
They got some really nice photos on their Instagram feed.
I love seeing photos of bees and small videos about what's going on. It's just, it's awesome. Okay, guys, well, we just want to take a moment to say that we are thinking of everyone in Christchurch. There was a mass shooting there in Christchurch on
the 15th of March.
Yeah.
And this is a really unusual occurrence in New Zealand. It's not like
this has never happened before.
No.
And we want to promote love and peace, and we want to, enjoy each other, and we want love in this world, and we really feel for those families who have lost loved ones and are still waiting to find out exactly what has happened, and it's still very raw. But kia kaha, Christchurch.
Absolutely. And I've got a quote here from Martin Luther King. Darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. And that was Martin Luther King Jr. That's something to think about, eh?
Yeah, absolutely. And with that, we'll move on.